hashtag Tusks Up or hashtag Kang Gang. Who's winning this game? That's the big question. All the people are asking, or at least they were at the funeral earlier, Kitty?
Yeah, I think Hooper definitely came to the funeral. I know he's a Yumi hater. Maybe Shinky. Shinky, you know, does not like the cat at all, although he's forced to play it because he's a competitive player and you need to play every champion. Doesn't mean he can like the cat though.
True, thanks, cool Kitty. Now, let's talk about one of these teams first. Looks like we'll talk about Mammoth, all right? Mammoth been doing some decent work, especially when Kanga are here as well. Fido, look, I had a stab. I had a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, I know, it was good.
And I went with the wrong one, unfortunate. Look, Fido doing big work, leading by example, and Hooper, Shinky, both of which were, of course, at the funeral. But Skimmy, tell me, what are they going to be able to do today to knock out the Mammoths?
Well, I think I want to try and find a point of power. Yesterday they played a composition with a Xerath in the mid lane, double cleanse, a bit of an interesting setup to try and circumvent the fact that it was an Aurelia looking to really trying to ego check absolutely everybody. And an Jace in the top lane that really didn't get a chance to exist. Up into a Renekton and Lise, felt pretty rough. So I think for them, more so than anything, this is going to be a vote of confidence. They've had a really rough start to the season. Their early game has been fairly non-existent. So I guess really for us, as sad as it sounds, to put it lightly, you're looking for a lot of strength and inspiration in those first 50 minutes to say, look, we're here for a reason, and you want to see, you know, Fighter really champion that cause, Mac.
You certainly do. Now,
You also really, yeah. Sorry, I just want to make a point about their draw from last night because, like Skimmy said, the Xerath and Jace came through as the solo laners. But if we take a look at bot lane, there's a Caitlyn. And this game, Kanga went into there with 3 heavy resource laners, and that is just impossible to pull off, especially when you're up against an Elise. And of course, he was camping the Jace, where he was pretty much sacking the entire game, where this Renekton became unkillable in these team fights. And even if I believe Hooper, he was a bit ahead on that Caitlyn from the previous plates with that Rift Herald. It just wasn't enough to deal with the amount of force from the Renekton and the Aurelia to win those team fights.
Well, look, Mammoth had an insane early game up against Direwolves yesterday. Really keeping up with them, and that surprised a whole bunch of people, including you, Rusty. Now, do you think that they can do it again today?
I mean, they had a lot of crazy skirmishes, and for Mammoth, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure it was skirmishes that they actively chose.
Yeah.
I think it was skirmishes that were given to them as a choice, and they took them. But, I mean, they did their work. It's just that once they hit past that early skirmish stage, like you're going to see here against Pentanet, they just kind of lost themselves again, and the game slowed down, and we're not really seeing that extra spice that teams tend to have that gives them that winning theory, right? Like you've seen a cool little poke idea from Kanga. If it wasn't successful, it was still there. This time from Mammoth, I feel like what we saw was an Ashe Varus that just got constantly picked. There was a lot of mispositioning. There was no I mean, there's top side cohesion and there's a bot side, but it never was a team.
And to add on to that, I did like the overall comp for the side of Mammoth when it came to last night, where it had decent range, had decent skirmishing, and a lot of early game fighting, especially with that 2v2 Sejuani and Silas, which is a pretty popular 2v2 at this current meta. But of course, like you mentioned, the execution wasn't there, and the draft up against the Olaf with Chippies was a bit impossible to play. So, of course, we need to think about more of these pocket picks when we're up against, I believe it is Kanga. Fido got banned out, 4 champions, all gone.
Yep.
So, thinking board, guys.
So, if that happens again, are you going to be on the Mammoth train?
I mean, a little birdie told me.
I love birdies.
I think Lucian's gonna get not banned again. What else is it saying? Oh, it's saying, oh, Kanga's gonna win today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got Blue on the line. Do you think Blue's going to agree with that one, Blue? do you think you're going to win today? You're looking... It's Cool Blue, right? Are you Cool Blue?
Yeah, cool blue.
Right,
I'm matching with Kitty today.
Yeah. Did you schedule the sunglasses show?
Yeah, she wanted to match with me, so.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, you're not included in this conversation
Oh.
anymore. Your glasses aren't cool enough. But of course, welcome to the LCO, Blue. It's so happy to finally get to interview you. And of course, you have been one of the most anticipated players to make your debut in the professional league. So how are you finding the competition so far?
Well, I was pretty nervous the first few games, but like after doing a lot of scrims, just getting experience, building like teamwork, and it's honestly like quite fun. I'm enjoying it, and I want to prove that I can do a lot better than I have been doing the last few games. Yeah.
Okay, well, how's it working with Fido? Is he teaching you a lot? Do you feel like, you know, his experience is helping you guys out a lot, or are you just like VOD reviewing and kind of learning from other people as well?
Yeah, well, Fido is actually a really good player. I think he's a good coach. He's just like very smart. He knows how to win a game. He obviously has more experience than me. I have a lot to learn from him. Yeah, I really like him as a player.
And since you are a new player to the LCO, let's talk a bit about your goals and how, or which player you really look up to in that top lane, because you are a very mechanical player. So any top laners coming to mind?
Oh, Bio Panther for sure. That guy's like he's like a wall. I can't like climb past him. So like I'm just trying to like break that wall down eventually, you know?
But
Hopefully we
do
do
you have
get
the
to see that.
guns? Does he have the guns to break the wall down? You're cool, but do you have the muscle, the brawn?
Yeah, I'm trying to build the hammer, you know?
Ooh.
Just punch that wall down, you know? Yeah.
There's some depth to those seppies, huh? Ooh, that's not
Thank
too
you,
bad.
thank
Now look, you're breaking down walls, you're breaking down barriers, and you're looking pretty cool. Hopefully you can stay cool, calm, and collected for your game today. Blue will let you go, and hopefully you
Thank
get that
so
done.
much. Thank you so much.
Cool kitty, cool blue. It's just, I think it's a young thing.
Maybe we can see him playing with those on as well. Maybe that's the
Yeah.
secret. Is that how you get to challenge a kitty?
You can't see the gray scale if you have these on because it's just permanently gray.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Dear Fanboat
That's
time.
cool.
You guys.
Okay.
Dare's pretty cool too. So's putting your Twitch points on one of these teams. So please, Dare Fanvote, get involved. It's up there somewhere, one of those buttons. Press them, you know, 50-50 chance here. You reckon? Is that what we think? Let's have a look at the predictions and see where we've put our Twitch points. Well, it's Kanga on the first page. Kitty, how much of a chance are you given Mammoth up against Kanga today?
Sorry, little birdie's talking to me
Bird's
again.
relentless.
There's a lot of birds in
It's
Australia.
a chirpy
I
bird.
think
It
I'm talking
is.
to
Yep.
Bin Bird today. Okay, so
The
Bin
Bin
Bird,
Bird.
Mr. Bin Bird from outside told me that Kanga is going to be taking this dub with a 60-40% win ratio.
Okay, okay. Now, do you think it'll depend on the sides? Because we flipped the coin, and it looks like Kanga's going on red side.
Yeah, I mean, we did see the Camille coming out of Chi-Chi from last night.
Yep.
Blue, very good Fiora play. He didn't get to really show off his mechanics up against PGG, but I'm sure there's still something in his back pocket, and I want to see such a mechanical player express his skill in that matchup.
Okay. Rusty, tell me,
Yeah.
if Mammoth are taking this dub, what's it going to take?
Well, I was talking to the bin bird
Pinbird.
downstairs before the show.
This Bin Bird, man.
How can Mammoth win?
Far out.
Carbon's bird.
It's going everywhere, man.
The carbon
Actually, so I think Akano can play aggressively. I think Akano can put down some good pressure onto the map, and I would like to see. He doesn't have to pick the champions that we've seen from him in the past because it's in our meta, but I would like to see that style of aggression from him and play with Mammoth, and he is
Yep.
the forefront.
I'm going to go have a conversation with Kitty, teach you the difference between a bin bird and a bin chicken, because Champ Select's ready, and we got some time.
I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, well, hey, he's done it. He's
I like bin bird now.
I like
It's
Bin
got
Bird.
alliteration.
It
Yeah.
sounds nice. Why not? Let's kick it off then. Mammoth Esports Club up against Kanga. Chance to see what they can do. Both these teams hunting for that big fat W. And a case of Mammoth saying, Fido, you just cannot play the game. 3
Yeah.
bans, all going his way.
Well, I think Kitty might be correct that there will just be a Lucian available because Mammoth are going to put all their efforts towards mid lane, so that much is for certain.
She's doing some form of dance off screen.
We're not sure what that was, but it was a form of dance. We'll get into the draft. Mammoth, like we said, three mid bans, but for Kanga on the other side here, just the Varus taken away, which does leave open things like the Ashe. Via's very early lock-in here is aggressive, so it kind of fits what I was thinking about before, but it also is very good into the low mobility carries, and Hooper is a fan of most of those.
Yes, absolutely. And it is quite curious that Lucian being left up and available, neither side have played it just yet. So if this was to be locked on in, this would be Hooper wanting to run things back. Played a bit of a different build compared to what we saw Raze play as the Caitlyn. Raze going for the Kraken Slayer, as opposed to Hooper opting for the Gale Force and the Rapid Fire Cannon. So just wants lots of mobility and range.
And straight into the Karma. So they're not looking to go for a Caitlyn Lux, which is a very good 2v2 lane. This Karma, again, can be flexible, but it doesn't scream to me Fighto.
No.
And it also does not scream to me Blue as a champion of choice. So it most likely will just be Shinky and Hooper having locked in their bot lane duo. To see where Mammoth respond here, Draven. Bold. Not as bold as what an Elise support would be, but with Draven definitely locked in, this makes much more sense. If you're going to go Draven, you're going to go a Nautilus-style champion.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
All the other hovers don't mean anything yet.
They're teasing us, but ultimately this is raw aggression. This is another cheeky little pick that Voice certainly can play at his disposal. You'd love to see what that can offer, and right now this just screams aggression that yes, Kanga are searching for a W, but we want to make sure that they continue to be behind in the first 15.
So Mammoth so far with their comp have a lot of single target lockdown, but it is guaranteed lockdown, right? Can't dodge the Viol, can't dodge the Nautilus ult, but it is mostly going to be in a single target format with the rest of the team just kind of being knocked to the wayside. This makes things very difficult for Hooper.
Yeah,
but it also means that stocks on something like flexing a Karma mid-goal Morgana actually get a little bit higher. Just putting that one out there into the universe.
Yep.
But Wukong actually going to be the third pick of choice. So while Vi can be quite good, Wukong has more of a lasting team fight impact, where I think Vi is more about, in a way similar to Nocturne, where you get those stronger lane picks, you have good ult that you can use during the lane ganks, but when it comes to team fights, you're not going to be as big as the opponent jungler.
That's caught me off by surprise there. Singing a
Hooper banning his
Philios
own
ban.
champion.
Yeah, just removing another AD carry. Unless we're talking about laning Draven, which would be a whole different conversation.
As in like mid-Draven.
Yeah,
God, I hope not.
that'd be fairly spicy. But yeah, it raises a really good conversation as to Mammoth have a lot of guaranteed lockdowns. I wouldn't be too surprised if Hooper was to go back into that, super long-range style of gameplay to try and keep his distance, to try and keep safe and secure. Whereas, how do they answer back? What are they really scared of if you're thinking of ways to try and break it up? Because you have the guaranteed lockdown, but now you just need a lot of damage to guarantee that when they are up in the air, even with an Anathema's chains added into mix as well, that they will fall down.
Yeah, I mean, right now both teams have got a solid foundation of a comp. They have got some solid damage there across both of them, a little bit less perhaps on the Kanga side right now. Mid laners, given that both junglers are AD, can look at things like Akali and Sylas, so that might be a similar style matchup that we get from them. Sylas actually still a viable choice. Yesterday we did see Darjung pick that one up and go for the Rod of Ages build. A little bit slower scaling, but I did my research after. Chaz helped me out as well.
Yes.
Turns out when I was Googling Sylas builds, it showed me jungle instead of mid.
Ah.
So I was very wrong.
You do get that.
Yeah, but Rod of Ages is a staple. It's just slower to ramp and is a better scaling pick.
Yeah. It's
Blue.
another scaling pick, isn't it? The old Fiora was the debut by Blue. Mentioned as a phenomenal Fiora play, so I'm really excited to see this one back in action again. If we're going to get something crazy like a Jax or a Camille matchup to respond from the side of Chi-Chi. Quick reminder that Mammoth have lost out on 2 of their bans in the second half of that draft, so going to limit their options to try and shut down things like this. Let's see what they can look to try and salvage it with.
Yeah, losing both of those bans means that Blue does get a free choice of his champion. Of course, that doesn't mean that it was a counter pick by any means, though the Fiora player may have wanted a 5th pick. I think Kanga have just said, get comfortable.
Yeah.
Right, like it does feel like they've been repeatedly picking champions that the players are comfortable picking. The comp itself may work in a vacuum, right? But like yesterday, they suffered a little bit to their opponent's composition while their own one was fine. Mammoth, a couple of staple picks here to be seen for sure.
If it's not banned, Darjung is definitely going to whip out the old Zoe once again. And this is what I found kind of interesting, right? If you've gone for the red side, I was curious to see, would they say, Blue, here's a vote of confidence, we're going to save counter pick for you, or, hey, I'm the big dog on the team, Captain Fighter, if you will. Let me find the best possible matchup, and could it be a cheeky pocket pick Tristana?
I mean, you pick Zoe blind into Fighter when this is available. He will look for it. He won't guarantee that he locks it in. Instead, he's going to go for the Kassadin. Into a Vi and a Zoe, that can be a very dangerous pick.
Playing with fire, hey.
Yeah, this isn't like a double magic It's not a tank jungler, so you can't just like stack MR early. Vi has a lot of kill threat on you and very good gank angles in mid lane, so just a little bit more respect has to be paid perhaps by Fido, but that natural scaling option that's there for Kanga means that he's going to get more and more dangerous as time passes and is a serious threat onto a Zoe and a Draven as the game goes on.
Undeniably, you're certainly looking at those two solo lanes for Kanga and thinking if this game does go to distance, you'd really bank your house on that one, really coming out ahead. But I suppose more than anything now, you're really looking at this bot lane for Kanga and saying this has to get ahead, this has to do work, it has to make sure it doesn't fall victim to a rogue Nautilus hook going out and a Draven cashing in multiple stacks of gold and suddenly becoming way too fed to deal with before we even reach a point of level 11, level 16 and so on.
Yeah, we basically need to put a telescope, microscope even, not a telescope, unless we're going to
10x.
to watch some Astro Smurfs.
Yes.
A microscope on bot lane, because it does feel like Shinky and Hooper have been really shaky lately. And you can't afford to be shaky and make those mistakes like you highlighted against the Draven Nautilus bot lane, which tends to be a point of focus for any team composition that has that duo sitting down there. They're going to be fighting. It's going to be a place that everyone gravitates towards. Top's got a carry pick as well that scales up pretty nicely. We'll be versing the Fiora though, so some volatility up there as well. This is definitely a jungler's playground, to say the least.
Absolutely, and it begs the question, how will these junglers look to navigate this? If it is going to be another 3-camp clear into a pop your head into a lane and see what happens, or if we are going to just try and rush our way to level 6, but that feels like a dicey game, especially when you've got lanes that you can punish or you can look to try and really unlock and snowball ahead with. This is certainly going to be one of those games where two teams are coming in searching for that victory, searching for that answer as to, okay, really, how strong is the middle of the pack here in the LCO? Because there's a question all of us, I think, unanimously are trying to solve.
I mean, the big thing here is we're looking at teams that are tied on the standings, but neither team actually has a win. They've both got defaulted wins against Peace. So both teams actually fighting for their first win of the LCO. This is the game of all games that you're wanting to see the best from Kanga, because there's no excuse this time. There's no nerves this time. It's the next week. They've played the big dogs. Now they get a chance to actually try and level the playing field, prove their value against a squad like Mammoth, who will be equally as hungry to do the same.
They certainly will be, and why wouldn't you? You want to really showcase why you're here. Big opportunity for both these teams. Big match and a big chance to see what they can really accomplish in these first few moments. Early game has been shaky to say the least, but that would be really expected when you are up against the big dogs. Will we get anything crazy from the level 1 mark here as Mammoth group up as 5, pop their head into lane.
The old 5-man mid-strat, huh?
Yeah.
The old 5-man. The only way that works is usually if you've got a Singed or they have a Yuumi.
Of course the Singed.
Mid-Singed with Predator, level 1, start boots. You wait just behind your allies. The second an enemy's in vision, because your passive moves faster to your allies. Just
sure, you just got boots Swifties level 1.
Yep. You will catch them. I hate that strat, by the way.
I'm sure I've used it a fair few times, but
I have.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of cheeky LP here and there, why not?
It's a bit harder to do in solo queue because people don't know what Singed passive even does. They're just like, why is he quick? Happens every time either way. We'll look at bottom real quick because we said we'd put a microscope on it. Karma starting in lane is just League of Legends 101.
This do be that level 1 cheese, doesn't it? The hook goes out, the damage straight onto Entrust Ignite, nice and early. There is no cleanse for that, so that is a very squishy Nautilus. Forced to flash away, but he's baited in. Everybody from Kanga to fall victim to the death, which is Voice getting a kill again. What is it
He's
with
looking
Hooper?
for a second
Always dying at level 1.
Voice has 2 axes. Shinky has to flash away.
He's prayed.
Please stop dying a minute in.
20 HP he's lived. I don't know what it is with Hooper. He flips a coin every single time.
They had the burst combo. They kite back, and it's a different story. They just don't know when to stop. Voice gets to keep his flash. Hooper has his flash, but was in melee range, so just has to walk back. And that means a Vamp Scepter, Skimmy, at level 1 for the Draven.
Yes.
God, it's very simple when we sit here and look at the draft and highlight this is what needs to happen. And we all know Hooper's better than this.
Ban TikTok. That's what I've deduced from all this.
No
more reels.
playing League, just watch instead. Mid gonna start off as expected as well here, right? Zoe should be character compared to a Cassidy that gets significant amounts more push.
Sure.
So we'll just be able to push that when it also has gone for the Ignite. And I personally am a fan of this because it increases your kill threat significantly against that Cassidy, and especially when you have a Vi that can gank mid quite nicely. And if bot's going to be so favorable for Mammoth, then Trust is free to roam. So there's a couple of factors there that can make things a little bit more difficult for the mid lane of Kanga. Top also has got that Ignite as well, Skimmy, because he's a Gwen.
Yep, no flash or no ghost. Just wants combat summoners and Trust is chucked at a hook where really you're thinking you should land that one.
You should land that one. Waste with a Vamp Scepter. Potion's running, so again, we'll be okay. Mayfan here to counter now because Akano is standing on a ward, but I mean, as if you don't just throw the hook at Hooper and either get the flash. They go for the flashless.
Oh! Well, he heard you talking and said, well, I'll land it this time, but maybe I'll just die for it. You know what?
Bruh.
I landed it. Skill shot.
Oh, man.
It did its job.
Oh, man. The hook connected. Tell you what. I guess they didn't know that Akano was standing on a ward. Mayfan just kind of follows the natural path required towards bottom and just finds himself a pretty free opportunity, compliments of a flash hook. But hey, he hit the hook.
Hey, he hit the hook.
He hit the hook.
And Kanga hit the kill. So 1-1 we go. And that is Mayfan going back to base to pick himself up a little bit more damage. We asked a question also to production before, right, about the jungle meta in terms of these new pets, and it seems to be an overwhelming amount going for the green buff. We haven't seen a single red pet just yet.
Yep.
So it's always been green, major reason being the major shield, but also the slow and tenacity buff. That's irrelevant at the moment because that pet has not evolved. But what has evolved is a bit of a cheeky fight in the mid lane. So Trouble Bubble goes to try and headshot Akano, his own teammate.
The Dajong does quite well there, actually, to get himself out. Shinky, I'm going to take a stab at being level 2, does not have a point in his W yet, so it was very difficult to actually lock him down. Cassidy also level 5 is Super. See how the hook plays.
Yes, nice Calabanet away, and tries looking for the hook. Does land it, but was really looking to try and open up with the auto for the passive first of all. Going to try and zone them away from this wave to look to really deny as much of his minions as possible. Shinky's in trouble. Shinky is dead. Another bit of gold cashed in there for the Draven. Now 2-0. Only 5 minutes in. And that's a lot of damage onto Mayfan. Also forced to flash to safety.
Yeah, Mayfan gets hit by the Sleepy Trouble Bubble and absolutely cops a blasting there by the team. Hooper in big trouble.
Yeah, it certainly is. Akano jumps in first and foremost, tanks up the tower, drops Tiago, finds another kill, and it's almost like Mammoth could become PGG. They're just diving bot lane.
Yeah, they're feeling a little bit inspired after watching some Pensinet games. Good dives. I mean, again, it's Akano in the right place, and no matter how unrefined or messy it has felt, the decisions are still correct, and this is the way the game plays out. If you want to start at level 1, just giving Draven kills, suddenly they become an extremely strong point to look at. No reason to put a microscope on something that's already very difficult from level 1.
And this really does feel like the worst case scenario to start off this game at least, right? You're really relying on that bot lane for Kanga being a point of strength to ease them into the mid game, to then hold some form of stability to play around. Because you're now certainly, if you're looking to veer the camera elsewhere, wanting this Fiora to come online, already a 10 CS lead, you want this Kassadin to be an active component, but has to show restraint just based on the amount of lockdown that a Vi and Nautilus can provide. It's going to be a very long time until we get to that point where you're saying, look at the timer and look how strong they are.
Yeah, I mean, level 6 there for Fido, though, in itself is quite a nice spike for Kassadin players. It gives them much more access to trading with enemy mage players, Zoe, of course, being one of those, and a burst mage. If you ever waste an ability like a bubble that misses, suddenly you'll be losing trades.
Yep.
Of course, that Ignite helps a little bit. Extra movement speed even to get away while trading. Mayfan looking, Akano not here just yet, but is waiting in the wings. He's actually charging the queue as we speak.
It's not a retaliation, isn't it? Fighter going for the play there, but Dajong answering back. Even if he does miss the trouble level, still managed to lay a fair bit of damage down. This is an unwatered blue buff that Mayfan would love to deny away, especially from Dajong, who's not opting for a tier, doesn't need it. But would certainly love to have that to continue to harass and keep this Kassadin in check as we enter into a pause. Here I am, just standing up. This is us casting. We don't sit down on the couch.
That's the crotch cam, yeah.
There you go. You've seen After Dark. LCO After Dark. Here we go.
That's actually a jump scare.
That was.
I was not ready
like,
for
hang on a
that.
minute, that's me.
Well, we're obviously into a pause here.
As you can see, Rusty's not even here. He's just
I
somewhere.
am deceased.
Somewhere in the studio.
I am no longer of this earth.
But either way, we'll update you once we understand what this pause is about. But so far, so good, really. I mean, if we can review over what we've seen, it has been a lot of aggression targeted towards the bot lane, as we anticipated. The microscope has certainly shown us a fair bit. And it's really, for this man here, Voice. Draven is well and truly online.
I mean, it's one of those things where you put the microscope down, you look into it, and you just see a Fortnite L dance from Voice or something, you know, straight away. Like, there wasn't much to digest in there. It was just, uh-oh, they've gone and done the thing again. They've died at level 1.
We do need to bring back the post-game celebration meta, don't we? Because if you think about it, last year when Dongi, or previously Winterer, it was always himself and I believe Rogue.
Dongi's grown out of it, hasn't he?
I feel like because we'd ask him in interviews, hey, where did the post-game celebration? Oh, they're coming, we're cooking out something.
Doesn't feel like he's really cooking up anything.
No. So maybe this needs to inspire that banter to the rest of the team, especially because they're giving another gaming house to play around. But it just adds a little bit of spice. Makes us shut up for a second, doesn't it? We just sort of watch.
Yeah, I don't mind that either.
Oh no.
Can't go wrong with a little bit of not talking for a second.
Just let the video play itself out.
But yeah, I mean, this is again 2 games in a row. Mammoth have looked solid early. They fell apart mid-game, but they were versing Pensinet.gg, who were constantly pressuring. Kanga, I don't think they have the same type of composition that roams around the map as freely, right? It's not an Ari mid lane, it's a Kassadin who will take a little bit of time to ramp up.
Yep.
We haven't really seen any activity or movement yet from the Kassadin at all. You know, I was watching some LEC last night, and while reviewing the VODs as well this morning, the Kassadins are even finding opportunities to roam. They're using waves and timers really nicely to go for plays. And, you know, sometimes those plays backfire, but it's the idea behind them that seems really solid. And I think that part so far has been fundamentally missing from a couple of teams, and Kanga is one of those. Comes from picking such heavy scaling champions, but hard to be a Kassadin if your jungler can't get active, if they're not looking for dive attempts. Hard to be active and look for dive attempts if your bot lane's dead at level 1, 2 out of your last 3 games.
Yep.
And suddenly losing so much that it's impossible to play. And Blue's just living his best life top lane, man, just playing those carries. He's in his lane, he's moisturized, he's got the sunglasses on, he's flourishing.
It was a good interview, I actually really enjoyed it. He's got the charisma. Why not? If you play this kind of champion pool, you certainly do want to have a little bit of a swagger about you.
Mayfun did get the blue, just for reference, as we are now back into the game. Steals that one away. Akano in bot lane on the opposite side of the map. Not level 6, but that's the current state of affairs. If he was to look for a play down here, it would not be possible unless it was a dive.
So back to bot lane. May just be a curious case of kind of popping his head in, clearing out vision, realizing that the bot lane of Kanga is no longer there. So that's a free dragon for them to pick up. Dajang also shielding his way in the mid lane. Just keeping tabs as to whether Fido or even Mayfun would be looking to make a play. But that's the first dragon now going the way of Mammoth.
They create a wall, a barrier of sorts to prevent Kanga from getting in. They take themselves the objective for free. Voice now, been a little while since he's found some kills, so starting to get a couple more stacks on that Draven. Akano perhaps looking to steal some experience. Must be getting closer to 6, I suppose, if the bot lanes are. Yep, he's about, well, he's 1 camp off. If he wants to play hyper-aggressively, he'd steal more experience now from bot lane, but that's going to be so much time wasted if he does.
It's a gamble, isn't it? He's pondering, what do I do?
Okay,
and ultimately, he
circle.
just needs to AFK in lane bushes for a second, and he would get level 6. Doesn't pay off the amount of time investment.
Okay, ticks it with the last minion, but for what? Hasn't moved to the 3rd bush. Is he trying to counter gank? Pops the sweeper.
It's like quietly pushing up.
How do they know I'm hit? No, they're under turret.
Mayfun's not even here, he's just doing blue buff.
Mayfun's clearing this entire time. Voice now using his HP as a tool to bait. And he's gone! And the hook was thrown when he left!
Oh no. Oh no, he's gone back
I
in.
can't.
Are you leaving?
I can't.
He's coming back in.
I don't.
Are you going?
My brother in
Oh,
Christ.
they know you're here now! Okay, flash punch ult! I tell you what, hey, it's a gank, it's a kill.
That was sick.
Hey, Can't argue with facts.
Patience pays off.
Hey, patience does pay off. The better teams have patience.
That's unbelievable.
That's a quote.
I can't even. You know, sometimes I think it would be nice to just look at one team's Fog of War. And I think that was an instance where the last minute I would have been happy to be Mayfan's Fog of War. But they got the kill. And as far as Kanga knows, he just walked straight in there and it happened.
Absolutely. You would never know. Blue, though, popping a challenge and going in for the kill right now. On towards Chi-Chi, who's got the needlework and is able to stay alive for the meantime, holding on by a thread. As Blue is forced to run away, and they managed to pick 2.
And quite simply, Mammoth will get themselves the Herald as well. So they get the dive bottom. They walk all the way up in time to get the Rift Herald and the fight afterwards. And joke as we might about the things that Mammoth are doing, when it comes to the execution, they're still doing it better. It's a Herald fight that Fido goes down on the Kassadin just trying to scale. Blue can be strong when it comes to skirmishing, but hasn't got the Mythic, is now trying his best to keep them at bay up here in top lane. And will catch the wave. But a very odd series of events, to say the least. And I don't think a fight that Kanga wanted was what happened.
No, it felt awkwardly forced. Let's run it back once again.
Yeah, Kano just comes in, steals this away with the smite. 266 HP, pretty straightforward stuff. Chi-Chi is the point of focus for Kanga, but realistically, by the time they try and chase him down, he's just sprinting away towards his team. The reinforcements were there. They had numbers, they had strength. Very straightforward stuff from Mammoth.
Certainly the vulnerability that you mentioned as well with that targeted CC doing wonders there with the depth charge. But try as they might, Kanga finding it a little bit hard right now to navigate their way through into this mid game. They're down about 3,000 gold right now.
Shield bow as well, the item of choice from Voice. Like, he's definitely aware of the fact that they have some high burst, wants to have the sustain. Didn't go for a bloodthirster though.
No.
Prioritizing the shield, it seems.
No Eclipse, just wants to be as durable as possible.
Tharjon coming bottom. Mayfun about to see him in the, here we go, dive.
Yep, the full all in, 2 ults, 2 target ults onto Hooper. He can't play the game, he can't move, he hit heal, he couldn't hit flash. Didn't matter, would have been a wasted summoner. Kanga really forced to hide underneath their own turret as Fido makes a delayed entrance in here. 4 walls, they know exactly where this Kassadin is. He could certainly be next on the chopping block here, as he is forced to rift walk away, but they're still keen to punch on.
And should be okay. Just go back towards mid lane. Remember, a lot of this game still involves scaling, still involves trying to ramp into this one. Gwen's still a good scaling pick, but the Fiora can become an absolute terror. Kassadin level 9, or 10 now out of 16 is obviously a pretty powerful point for him. Has that Rod of Ages build and tier stacking that is coming along. But every single time we give them an out, we have to recognize that this is a terrible situation to be in.
I'm sure that's probably, as a Kanga fan right now, what you're really relying upon is the fact that your 2 solo laners that are the big heavy scalers are 1 level up over their opposition, right? So if you are playing for the scaling discussion and you're just hoping you keep this gold lead as close as it can be without Mammoth finding a way to blow this game wide open.
And it's rinse and repeat stuff here as well, right? Zoe's able to force priority in mid lane. That means they have pressure bot side. River, Chi-Chi being attacked.
Chi-Chi going for it right now. He hits the needlework. He tries to get the execute onto Blue. Even with the ignite, it's not enough to take him on down. Mayfang with the cyclone runs out of juice. And in jumps Fido. Blue is so low.
Dajang looking for a bubble. Perhaps he's just disregarded the Kassadin.
Kassadin's like, I have to peel for my team. They're so low. This could be huge for Zoe. In they jump. Flash, ignite, spell steal away. Who can they take down? Well, Dajang's just deleted Mayfang. Blue. Oh, he's going for the repose. Just jumps that away. Oh, good guy Fido.
I mean, I respect that from Dajang, but just he sees a Kassadin, Draven not going to come through, not going to find anything as well. But you see the Kassadin diving the turret, you know it's going to be a 1v3, and Dajang says, I don't even care. Doesn't even blink, just walks straight in, goes for the ignite, finds the single kill. If he managed to find that bubble, it would have been a second. We'll watch the skirmish top lane one more time. Blue, unfortunately, gets really zoned away by the needlework.
Yeah.
Just sits back and is really afraid of dealing damage instead of perhaps, you know, trying to get the ultimate proc to get those resets he respects. And then Dajang comes in. I mean, he sees 2 targets. He knows Fido's there, but he sees 2 targets. Flashes forwards, ignites, gets the first kill. Uses the wall to try and find the bubble, but just can't quite. The only thing that makes this really rough is that is 2 kills for Kanga, for a Kassadin.
It is.
Who is now 2-on-1, who has now completed the Rod of Ages, is now level 11, giving this in to something that perhaps shouldn't be there, given how the rest of the map's been going.
You are certainly looking to try and provide them with an out and an opportunity which, as you can see from the total goal graph, is still fairly favorable for Voice. He's in a league of his own right now. Really is the League of Draven, up by 2,000 gold to his own.
Extremely favorable.
But it was a clever idea there from Dajong to try and be cute with that portal for the bubble, but just unable to find the double to salvage that play.
But still, like you just highlighted, the game's going to revolve around Voice. And we are kind of just sitting here saying it's a possibility for Kanga, but still they have to try and work out how to deal with this Draven.
Yeah.
Voice, we know, has the capabilities of hard carrying games. We have seen it from him in the past. Hasn't always found wins, but has been the hard carry for Mammoth for over a year now.
Yep.
And has 2 items completed. Collector is the second item of choice. Looking to maximize his early DPS. No resistance is really there from the Kanga side just yet either.
Really is all about using these early game moments now to hit like a truck and continue to find gold leads.
Photo 11.
GG going to cop a bit of a harass here in the bot lane as the map does flip, but that does open up rather an opportunity for Mammoth as a group of 3 just to take themselves the second Herald. They've already got 2 Drakes to name as well, so from an objective standpoint, the game would be looking quite well for them. Now they have a chance to try and target the top lane. Riposte goes out, denies the ultimate, and then Trust just chucks out a hook for good measure. Why not? He's saying, Rusty, I can land these hooks.
I mean, he did land the hook on the wall. Throws out the ultimate, and that's quite simply going to be riposted, right? So timed nicely by Blue, who just dashes away straight afterwards, and unfortunately the hook can't be hit because he dashed away. The weird thing about that trade as well is I feel like there's a universe that Blue even turns and burns the tanking in Trust.
Sure.
But doesn't want to give kills over, rightly so, to a Draven who's no doubt stacking up with all of the farm that he's been getting freely. Just happy he's alive, and so he should be. We're not going to judge another support last hitting, are we?
No, surely not.
Oh, no, you got that one.
Okay, Shinky.
No, you got that one too. Shinky's built different. Smarter than your average support. Check him out.
Hey, there we go. Doing on a mage support of all things as well.
Yeah.
Even harder.
You know, there was a comment in the chat yesterday of leave him alone, he's a support, it's not his job, and I will never agree with that. I will never agree with that. Anyone who's played support knows there's times where your AD carry is sprinting it down. And that's free money in your pockets. You just need to not suck at last hitting.
If you can't utilize this, then
That's
I can.
Yeah, it's for sure a you problem, not their job.
We all want gold. We all want to be fed.
Exactly.
Well, here we go. Mammoth with a point of strength. They've got themselves the second Herald. Grouped up for the first time now as 5. Leaving Fiora to her own devices. They want to continue to press on forward. That starts by opening up the mid wave. Even Shelly might get a second headbutt here, which would be phenomenal for them. Hook goes out. Knock up onto 3. Trouble bubble. Delete super again. He's 0-5, Rusty, having an awful game. But can they find a second kill? Delayed flashbang Mayfire, but he's already copped the damage from Dajong. This is why you ban Zoe. He's a little bit too comfortable on the champion.
Herald going to charge here as well, but they're not going to commit themselves to it. Interesting thing about what happened here is it feels like there was 2 teleports from Fido and Blue, but did they go to lanes? Because they certainly, or it was a tower that died just before they could get in. I'd have to see the replay. I wasn't paying attention to the teleports. But the difference that made to the outcome, obviously very large, as they're forced to recall and walk the long way afterwards.
How much value does Herald
Watch this
get?
again, because it is double teleports available. Herald is about to charge. Hook hits. Teleport 1 comes in. Tower dies. That's all it is, right? That's all she wrote for the rest of the skirmish. They're just too strong. It's a 5v3. And it's Hooper that gets hooked first. Dies with summoners available.
What a curious situation there. 3 turrets falling down by a single objective spawn. An open inhib crippled at the same time as well. And a Fiora and a Kassadin saying, just do your best to hold. We want to get as much of this experience as possible. And it really does feel like you're on the hype train now of saying, just give us 5 more minutes.
I mean, Infinity Edge done for Voice. He is monolithic. Draven cannot be stopped at this stage. Drake should be freely theirs, and of course, because it is only the third one, Kanga have technically got some time, but I don't know if that's going to be enough time for Fido to hit level 16 or anything substantial, and level 16 also needs to come with item spikes.
Yeah.
Dajong may be a sitting duck here. We'll see.
Can they find the moment to get this kill? They cannot. Turn around with the Everfrost to really ward them off. Looking to try and thread the needle. They found Mayfun. And Trust with the one-man ult. Only onto Shinky. Here comes Chi-Chi. There's the axe! Oh, it was close. Ever so close, but Chi-Chi still in hot pursuit. Blue Trinket goes down and know exactly where he is. Needlework. We're going to try and snipe them. Mayfan's got the moves. And it's just buying as much time as possible. Really wasting their efforts to try and collapse and take down multiple members. But it doesn't matter. Because Akano now holds his own. He's got the ultimate, chasing Fighter, expending all his mana to try and run away, and just solos him out.
Yeah, it takes him down. They get all the kills that they're after. A little bit of a cheese there from Kanga goes incredibly wrong. Mammoth with no hesitation will find the punish. Baron now firmly in their sights. And the 7k gold lead becomes 8, becomes closer to 10 with the Baron buff. The game gets completely out of hand. Can't ask for much more in a game if you are Mammoth right now.
We have seen so many Barons upon spawn this split already. I am loving this accelerated tempo, the pace of these games. Right now, Mammoth are profiting unbelievably, very close now to a 10k lead.
We see the reactions of Dajong here. Flash ready. Gets engaged on. Mayfun, I think, was about a second away from having his ultimate, which is what they would have been waiting for that entire time. But the Zoe gets out, and it's just a matter of chasing down at this point now, right? Shinky's the one who gets abandoned. Bubbles consecutively hitting from Dajong. Signature pick. Puts in work. Watch the rest of this one. Mayfun, while he nicely dodges out on everything that Chi-Chi throws, not a single needlework connects. He's still going to die. And Fido just quite simply runs himself out of mana from using ult. The cost to be way too high at this point.
Yep.
Holds the Q as long as he possibly can. Voice was here, worst case scenario. Doesn't even need the help.
They had answers and angles to really respond to every single play you could imagine, and this is such a curious game right now because everything has gone the way of Mammoth. Every Herald, every Drake, and now the first Baron as well. They've got turrets, they've got map control, they've got everything you could need to try and close out this game because we are getting closer and closer to that point where you're thinking level 16 isn't too far away. 8 stacks now on the Rod of Ages.
I mean,
they just need time.
I will say this, quite simply, Kanga's composition at a deficit barely gets to play the video game.
Yeah.
They are a Fiora and a Kassadin. And they're running out of space, they're running out of wriggle room. Hook just missing, but a bubble doesn't.
He does not. They're on for the end right now. Looking to try and pressure before the clock runs out. In they jump in Trust. That's not what you want. He falls on down. Nice and easy. Repose challenge. That's been laid on through. Can he try and deny any more of these buffs? In jumps Mayfun. Flash. Oh, knocks them down. Shut down to Caston. That's what you need. They've removed that troublesome Zoe.
Blue on the hunt, though. Trying to keep them entertained, trying to keep them busy. Will push them all the way back. Fighter going to go collect some waves, some experience, some farm into the pockets. Mid lane inhibitor gone. Nexus turret falls, one left standing. But Mammoth, they just go too far forwards. Haven't recognized the limit. They get collapsed on. Voice still alive, still the raid boss stands. But Kanga afford themselves a bit of extra money. More importantly than anything else. And Trust hits a hook to do this by hooking the turret over a Caitlyn trap. And in the business, I believe they call that feeding.
Dedge.
It's super dedge. So it's a tragic way to start the fight off, to say the least. But then the second kill comes naturally from that. Zoe not very good at kiting back. Tends to like going forwards, not backwards.
Yep.
And so in a deficit, in a position like that, very difficult to stay alive against a Kassadin. That is so mean. That's Giga Chat, but it's mean.
This is a warning shot at this point. Go back.
Especially because Fiora just dashes over a wall. Look at the levels.
There it is.
Anyone who's counting knows what that means.
That is time to shine if you're a Kanga fan.
Anyone who watched the LCK skimmy knows that even Kassadins at 16 can lose.
Yeah, it's still very possible, right? Once again, highlighting just how far they are behind in this game. 9k gold and every objective against them. 15 seconds to play for an infernal soul point. That would be the icing on the cake that Mammoth would need to try and close out this game.
He's so close to 16. You can see Fido actually trying to not die while staying in wave range.
Oh no, Fido, it's so close, Liv! He's running away! Mayfun knocking him up as much as he can. Fido's still alive, but now Blue becomes the target. Needlework Ignite, he's gonna fall on down! He's burning, he's falling, he's survived! Unbelievable, but only one next turret remains, and look at the burst! The burst of a Draven Zoe working in tandem is unbelievable. You just can't deal with it.
Fido has to look at Voice, so this game could just end. There's only 2 members standing. Mammoth, they're going to get some lifesteal off the wave. Feels like this is going to be game. Hook just misses.
They've got to pull a rabbit out of a hat right now. They have to do something really special. In jumps Fido, and he's just dead. Put to sleep, put to rest. We waited 25 minutes for the late game condition, but it never arrived. It's an ace, and that's Mammoth's first win.
An actual win on the board here for Mammoth. A devastating game for Kanga once again. But I mean, credit to the bot lane of Mammoth. Credit to Voice, plays super well to level 1.
Yeah.
Gets the kills and continues to play through. Darjung gets his signature Zoe. Looks very good. Nakano, like we said, we wanted to see aggression from him playing towards lanes. I mean, he did that. Picks the Vi, starts diving structures, and does put in some short work.
Look how hyped up Voice is. Oh, I have to feel good. You play a Draven like that, you get so fed, you feel so strong, and really, multiple members popping off and defying all of our expectations.
Well, if you pick the Draven, you got to put your best T1 impersonation on it. And that's what he was doing right at the end. Popping off. Kitty, give me your thoughts on that game. Huh? It was a bit messy, but it's a win, right?
I'm going to have some words with young Hooper after this game. He keeps doing the same mistake every single level 1.
Did you call him Hoover? Like a vacuum?
No,
'cause he
just
sucks?
He was
Hooper.
hoovering hooks.
Come on, Kevin.
It's clever. It's clever.
Just look, we love Hooper around here. Unfortunately, we don't love Hooper dying at 1 minute.
Look, I'm not going to completely blame Hooper because bot lane is a 2-man role. But like Rusty said, just take the trade and leave. You cannot win an extended trade up against a Draven with lethal tempo. And especially when just burning those summoners, well, I don't think he burnt summoners early on into the game, but having that extra Vap Scepter on the Draven just led to so much lane parity for this Vi to work off. And once you have the Kassadin and Fiora aiming to get to that late game, your ADC is sitting on a scoreline of 0-5. How do they really realistically hit that level 16 mark safely without losing literally 3 towers and an inhibitor in this mid lane at 20 minutes in the game?
Yeah, the quad charge Herald, that was something. I thought they were going to hang around and get that in him as well, but decided just to, refocus as well.
Refocus, of course, and Entrust definitely hit some hooks. And he definitely missed some hooks.
I mean, he hit some walls as well.
Well, yeah, I think he hit everything. Well, might as well cover everything. But congrats to Mammoth. I think, of course, Voice on this Draven, he did play these team fights extremely well where he didn't die once. And he was able to do so much damage. Also, Akano, we do see a lot of proactiveness coming out from him as well compared to the Jarvan game where he was just missing on the map. Also, Chi-Chi was able to, I believe, stall for a very long time when Kanga was putting so many resources towards the Fiora lane. He was able to just play it out and waste a lot of the time of Kanga's top side. So, overall, really promising game from Mammoth and a huge step up from yesterday's performance as well.
Look, I'd love for someone out there to edit me a Akano, lane gank setup tutorial at some point. Rusty was absolutely loving that throughout the game. Could hear the passion in your voice during that.
That was anxiety as a personality just displayed on my screen. It was just, am I going in? I don't know. I feel nervous. Oh, maybe.
Rusty was literally losing his mind.
Yeah. I still haven't recovered.
My favorite part was when he hit the red trinket. It's like, yeah, you're going to clear the bush now, like after you've been there for 30 seconds. Is that why they're not pushing? What's
Rusty's
going
the
on?
voice of the people.
I'm trying my best, Kitty. I'm trying my best.
Yeah,
I'm
look,
losing
Twitch
my
chat
mind.
was popping off. Everyone was having a damn good time. Someone that got a big dub here as well is our main man. A big winner, of course, for the post-match interview. Kitty.
Dajon.
He slept yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he's awake today. He had a huge game today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Obviously, some stuff happened yesterday, which not exactly proud of, but yeah, I'm glad we got a big comeback win today. Well, not comeback, but I have a lot of faith in our team, and I think honestly, like we're gonna show people that we're not just the 8th place team. We actually can actually do a lot of stuff, and see how it goes from here.
Yep, congratulations. I believe the scoreline is now 2-2. Huge for the side of Mammoth. And of course, we need to talk about the previous game up against Kanga because you guys had a very well played early game, especially in that bot side. So what were the comms like?
So it was a lot of the comms were led by James. He really likes his matchup, and this is something we planned to draft, and worked out really well in our favor. And basically, once after the first deaths, it was just basically, I don't care if Kassadin's gonna scale, he's not gonna hit 16, we're gonna end the game, just continuously dive bot, and that's everything worked out.
Which one's James? Just quickly.
Oh, Voice. Sorry, Voice. Sorry, Voice.
Just had to clear up that one. You know, not on the first name basis around here, unfortunately. Maybe one day we will be, but for now, you know, we're sitting off. So that matchup with Fido, were you guys worried once he hit 16 that it could swing back in Kanga's favor, or were you never really worried? Because it felt like we were waiting for that to happen. We were waiting for there to be like a mistake and for Fido to capitalize, but you guys managed to hold it down and close out eventually.
We're going to draft, like, we thought about the Kassadin. I mean, obviously we didn't have second phase ban, so we couldn't do much about it. But we have Nautilus, ult, Vi ult, Nautilus hook. There's so much CC. I don't think Kassadin can actually play the game. And I think, personally, like, I like the Zoe Kassadin matchup. It lets me do whatever I want, like, first 10 minutes of the game. So I'm fine handshaking into it, and we can make proactive plays. And I think we're quite a strong early game team, and it leads well into our strengths.
Very, very good insight from the side of Dejong. Do not let the enemy team pick Kassadin because he still has that Zoe up his pocket. Well, I hope you had fun in Korea, by the way. I saw a lot of cute photos, and of course, congratulations on the win once again, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
He didn't invite me to Korea. He didn't invite any of us to go to Korea.
Settle down, ego girl, cool kitty, cool cat, queen kitty. I don't know what you want anymore. But look, I know that you guys at home, not only were there a lot of you asking for refunds for your bloody Twitch points for the Dare fan vote, but you have selected the Dare MVP. Let's have a look at who you've gone with, and it's Voice. Cool. No surprises here. I thought maybe, just maybe, there's a world where they, you know, go and throw it to someone else, but Voice, of course, was just throwing those spinny swords, catching them, and farming up a damn storm from the first minute of the game.
Yeah, farming up a damn storm, all those tower plates going in the pocket of Voice. And of course, we need to mention that 4 kills with 0 deaths, that means he was just continuously stacking on this Draven. And we all know that Draven, once you get those stacks up, the more you cash in. And let's just say there's a lot of dying on Kanga's side pre-16.
I would have hated to see just how big the divide was between himself and Hooper by the end there, because we saw at one point it was up by 2,000 gold, just really steam charging away. So I imagine at some point it's like 8, 10, like something crazy if you can cash it in.
Was maybe a 2-item item difference at least,
huge,
because
yeah.
we saw the collector
6K.
coming in for the side of Draven with the BF sword extra, and Cooper just got his Gale Force and Caitlyn.
That is a satch, and I don't want to rub it in. I don't want to dig this grave for Hooper any longer. We got a match of the week to get hyped about. We've got a break to get through before we get there. That, of course, is going to be PGG and the Chiefs. Get pumped! We'll see you after this.
Voice now using his HP as a tool to bait, and he's gone. And the hook was thrown when he left.
Oh no, he's gone back in.
I can't.
Are you leaving? He's coming back in.
I don't.
Are you going?
My brother in Christ.
Oh, they know you're here now. Okay, flash punch ult. I tell you what, hey, it's a gank, it's a kill.
That was